Are you prepared to transform your well-being? I'm Sanjay Raja. My mission is to challenge our perspectives on food, fitness, and overall health. I own a successful nutrition and fitness business based in Orlando, Florida. And through this experience, I've learned that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. From creating delicious and healthy recipes, to training elite athletes, and even writing the book, The Food Talk. I've accumulated a wealth of knowledge, but here's the exciting part. There's always more to discover. That's why I'm embarking on a journey to connect with leading experts, unveiling the secrets to a happier, healthier life. Together, let's explore innovative ways to enhance our well-being. This is Recipe for Wellness. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of our podcast, Recipe for Wellness. I can't believe we're in season 3 and we're recording episode number 4. Crazy how the year's going by. So every now and then I get guests that kind of take me off guard. And this is such a guest because she not only is a coach, she is a medical doctor. So I love the fact that not only does she share her expertise, but she also puts into practice what she preaches. I was in the medical field for a long time, and I saw a lot of surgeons, a lot of doctors I work with that would tell the patient something, but never do it themselves. So there was a big gap there to create credibility. That being said, our audience, please welcome Coach Dr. Ann. How are you doing today, Dr. Ann?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. So I read your profile. I read your background. We've talked a little bit off camera, but I cannot do your accolades justice. So that being said, can you share with our audience some of the amazing work you do? And more importantly, what is it that you do? Because there's so many things you got going on. So I want to make sure the audience knows who you are.
Absolutely. I refer to myself as the physician on a mission to help people thrive and not strive to survive. I'm board certified in internal medicine, and I spent about 30 years as a practicing internist. Most of that time was in a hospital setting. So patients would come in with everything from heart attacks to strokes to pneumonia, you name it. And we would take care of them and send them back to the doctors. The amount of unnecessary suffering and death I saw it was catastrophic. Before that, I was a primary care doctor. And I spent most of my time basically in an office taking care of people. And one thing that I noticed that was the same is there is a huge gap between how we think and how patients think. And that results in tremendous problems for the patient, such as delayed diagnoses, extra tests and procedures, which could be expensive and dangerous, the potential for more suffering, and unfortunately, sometimes unnecessary death. And so my focus at this point is to empower people. So that's my internal medicine arm. My lifestyle medicine arm is based on all the things that I saw over so many years. I decided I wanted to create a platform where people could learn how to take care of themselves, how to become empowered. And I was hiring various doctors, and I hired one in lifestyle medicine. I had no idea what that was, but it sounded interesting. As I sat and recorded her, my jaw just dropped. I had no idea that medical science was so advanced. We're not taught that. We're taught anatomy, physiology. This is the diagnosis, this is the pill, this is the surgery. But there are decades of research showing us how to prevent, treat, and reverse most of these diseases. So I went back and I became trained and board certified in lifestyle medicine as well.
So that's a lot, which is great. I love the diverse background you have, both the theoretical, which is the book knowledge, and then the practical aspect of it, of implying that knowledge. So let's touch on this point, because when we did season 2, which we're in post-production of our TV show right now, we went out to a couple places in Tampa, and a few other places in Orlando. And we ran across doctors who were bucking the trend of just being script writers and diagnosing and just putting a Band-Aid on it, if I can use that terminology. And what you
Absolutely. That's
touched,
very appropriate.
oh yeah, what you touched upon is something that I'm really trying to showcase with our show into season three now, which is the term is concierge medicine. This is the term we're hearing. And I'm hearing from all our contacts around the country, this is popping up more and more and more again. And so I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but there's a doctor that I'm very close friends with here in Orlando, and she started a concierge medical clinic where patients would come in, she would diagnose, and here's the key. She wouldn't just treat, she would get to the root cause of what's going on.
That's it.
And that's it right there, right? So you are part of this movement now, which is fantastic. So tell me, has the establishment, the medical field that you grew up in professionally, here in her community, they pushed back on her. They didn't like that. It caused a lot of issues for her, but she's thriving. She won some awards for it, and I've seen her testimonials from her patients. They're doing well because she took care of the issue, didn't just put a Band-Aid on it and said, come back and see me so I can rebill you a couple more times, right?
Yes.
So give me your thoughts because you're on both sides of this thing. And so you have a unique perspective on this. So give me your thoughts. Has there been pushback on this type of thinking? Number one. Number two, how have you been able to really get this message across to patients? Because we're taught a certain way from our doctors.
So I am proud to say that the light bulb is going off and people are starting to get it. Doctors, many doctors, they're tired of seeing the patients in and out of the emergency room, prescription after prescription, side effects, drug interactions, and still premature death. Lifestyle medicine, which basically has 6 specific pillars and is grounded in basically the root cause analysis. Instead of waiting till the disease occurs and giving you a Band-Aid, such as a prescription, the focus has nothing to do with medicine at all. It is how to prevent, treat, and reverse diseases naturally. Now, this is catching on not only in America, but around the world. There are over 50 countries where you can find lifestyle medicine. Now, I am board certified by the American Board of Lifestyle Medicine, but there are boards around the world. And the American Medical Association back in 2017 told doctors you need to learn and apply lifestyle medicine. They put out a resolution because the data is that strong. And so there's pushback because we were not trained that way. But now that we're starting to see the results, such as people are getting off their diabetes medicines and all sorts of things, more and more doctors are saying, what is this lifestyle medicine and how can I get involved?
So this brings up 1,000 more questions, right? But let's take this angle, which is the doctors I've spoken to. We shall remain nameless, of course. They're really passionate, as you are, about taking it this direction.
Mm-hmm.
However, they've received a lot of pushback from their professional peers because not everybody's ready to embrace this. It's a different model altogether. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is one specific reason, which is to get your take on this, which is you also specialize in training patients how to, now I don't want to misspeak, but correct me if I'm wrong, how to deal with the high cost of medicine. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. This is so unique, and I was so excited to talk to you for many reasons, but this was one of them. So what have you seen now, which is being a traditional medical doctor, bill Medicare, run some tests, do this, do that, and percentage of that cost goes to the patient. Now, as a lifestyle doctor and somebody who tries to help patients lower the cost of medical bills, do you see this methodology lowering costs, keeping it the same, or God forbid, it goes up?
Let me give you an example. I have a very close friend who had a cholesterol level of the total was almost 300. And the LDL, the one that blocks the arteries and raises your risk of heart attacks and strokes, it was like 189.
Mm-hmm.
This person hates drugs.
Yeah.
Understandable. So I gave this person some specific things, evidence-based ways to lower it. The LDL went from 189 to 129 over time. So
Mm-hmm.
that is similar to what you see with most statins.
Right.
We now know that there are so many things that we can do. So just imagine a lot of people, let's say 1 million people who go from I'm dealing with all of this medication, the side effects, in and out of the hospital, to let me deal with a lifestyle medicine. Let me talk to my doctor, work with my doctor to cut back on or get off of some of these medications. You can
Mm-hmm.
imagine the potential, not just for their life expectancy, if they're able to get off of diabetes medicine because they don't need it anymore, or they're able
Yeah.
to not take a statin and have the side effects that some may have because
Mm-hmm.
they did it naturally. So imagine 1 million people making this turn. Now multiply that by many, many, many times. And you can just imagine how astronomical the drop in healthcare costs would be and how much longer people would live naturally. So you made a good point. A lot of doctors push back. Take this person, my friend in particular. Her doctor is not going to say do A, B, C, D, and E as a traditional physician. That doctor
Yeah.
does not want to get sued and does not have the
Right.
training in lifestyle medicine to say, I'm willing to take that risk. People who have gone to get that training and become board certified in lifestyle medicine, they're going to feel more comfortable because they have the evidence-based papers to back them up. And so it's a slow progression, but many different universities, I believe I saw even Harvard had a few-day online conference for doctors who want to learn lifestyle medicine because we're waking up now and we're realizing instead of giving people these drugs, let's just prevent the disease in the first place, or at least decrease the need for so many drugs.
So this brings up 1,000 more questions, but the one that really popped in my head was so I was in medical device field and I was in pharmaceuticals for a long time. So I work with the doctors on the other side, which is I was the guy who basically like, hey, doctor, write this drug, kind of thing. I did that. And
Mhm.
then I went to the marketing side. Then I went to the surgical side, worked with so many different specialties of doctors and surgery. And then now I'm on the more holistic side, right? So I went to the other side of the fence. So, but here's what I saw. And you tell me, has it changed? Which is patient would walk into the doctor's office and doctor would say, hey, this is your lab results, blah, blah, blah. Here it is. And then the patient would be like, okay, so can I have a script? And so, because they're trained to do that. And then doctor would write a script and they're out the door. And then I saw a study, and this is something that just still blows my mind. I'm sure you know, it's patient satisfaction scores,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
What they saw was that patients gave physicians and physician extenders a higher patient satisfaction score when they left the office with the script.
Yes.
Okay. So now you're dealing with that. So how do you change the mindset? Okay. Because as a personal trainer in my former company that we still have and a nutritionist, I did what you guys are doing now, which is I talked about nutrition, I talked about diet, I talked about lifestyle. But getting somebody into that mindset to take that leap, because it's slow progress, nothing happens overnight, was a challenge. That's part of my goal in doing that. For you, you have all the medical degrees, you have all the credibility, but how do you overcome this thing where, oh, you didn't give me a script? You didn't do your job. How do you overcome that hurdle?
I think the first thing is to realize there are not enough doctors and nurses in this country to fully educate the public. And the
Yeah.
public has appropriate tools and they have people who want to teach them this information. So I don't mean go do a Google search and you're taking fish oil to treat cancer. I don't mean that. I'm saying that there are evidence-based papers and sites and coaches and so forth who can help turn the tide.
Yeah.
So yes, people were trained that way, But once they realize, if they really understand that if I do these natural things, and many people are now looking for natural ways to go about things.
Hmm.
If I do this, I'm less likely to have drug side effects, drug
Yeah.
interactions, end up in the hospital because of my medications, or continue the disease process. If you have the chance to potentially reverse the disease or at least decrease the amount of medicine you take, how much extra money are you going to have to put in retirement? How much extra time are you going to have to do great things because you're not at the doctor's office all the time? So a lot of it is mindset and education, but it's got to be credible.
So you worked in, and you still do, I think you said primary care. Is that correct?
No, I did primary care, then I went to hospital medicine for
Okay.
most of my career. And now I do administrative medicine and coaching and course creation to educate people on these exact same things.
So primary care, that specialty, because I used to call on them, is one of the most thankless jobs, honestly.
Yes.
One of the front lines before they get referred to a specialist. It's a very thankless job. You see everything. What's interesting, and what we're seeing also, is a number of people, what they're seeing now is urgent cares have become the new primary care, right?
Yes.
So they don't have the time to do what should be done, which is what you're doing, which is education and saying, hey, a, just a little bit of discipline and work can save you so much money, time, and effort down the road. It's a turn and burn operation. Get them in, get them out, get them in, get them out. That's what they do, right? So
Absolutely.
it's that time factor. And coming out of medical school, the least preferred specialty is primary care,
It's the
right?
lowest paid one as well. Yes.
No, and that's the reason. I'm sure that's a big reason why too, right? It's the lowest paid one, you
Yes.
know. So how, this is the reason why this conversation is so important for our audience and everybody who's going to be listening to this podcast, which is you're taking this to a new level, which is this is what medicine should be, which
Yes.
is don't treat the symptom, treat the patient, right? I can tell
Absolutely.
you from my personal experience when, I've had my nutrition fitness company since 2011. You know when it got the busiest was during
And
COVID. During
mhm.
COVID, it grew so exponentially. You know why? Because we're taught to deal with our health when it goes south, not
Yeah.
maintain it, right? Maintenance is hard. It requires discipline. It requires some sacrifices. It's really, really hard. So, how do we bridge that gap? And this is the reason why I want to talk about the next thing you do, which is you created that platform, right? Where I checked out the platform, really well done. I love it. You bring in different specialties into the platform of different physicians, and some are not even physicians, people who can give this practical knowledge. Because here's what happens, and this is what I've seen, is that the reason why our show and our podcast has been so successful is we take information that's out here that's really technical and we just make it easily digestible and practical. You do the exact same thing, which is
Yes.
great. People want simple, cost effective, and practical. We hit these three marks, right? So,
Mhm.
talk about the inspiration of your platform and how it's changing people's lives so that they can get this information at their own pace so that I've got this problem. Well, let's take a pause. I don't have to take 20 medications. Let me see what the most naturopathic thing I can do that's easy and I can implement over time. So talk about the inspiration for the platform and how that platform is changing people's lives.
The inspiration for the original platform, that's patientworld.net, was just watching patients who just really had no clue about what was going on. So I wanted to get different specialists together to provide data, to provide information in a fun, easy atmosphere. They can take the on demand course in all these different modules. I have various specialists there. So that was the initial plan. But then when I recorded One Doctor, Lifestyle Medicine, it took a different leap because I wanted to go back and learn how to prevent, treat, and reverse disease, and not just write the pill, give the Band-Aid, which was all I was taught in traditional medical school. And so
Hmm.
after I went back and I became board certified in lifestyle medicine, then I also created some courses to teach people how to prevent, treat, and reverse diseases naturally based on the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, proven to do these things. Everything from decreasing cancer risk, various cancer risk, to decreasing inflammation that's associated with diabetes, dementia, I mean, you name it. So a lot of people don't realize that your genetics make up a small percentage of your health destiny. You have like a little switch inside, and every day your habits turn that switch toward disease or toward health. Your genetics, they may be there, but how well they manifest and how strongly they manifest the disease you may have a predisposition for is based on you. What do you eat? How do you move? How do you manage stress? And so it's
Yeah.
really all about teaching people to prevent, treat, and reverse disease, the PTR Reset, and the platform is ptrreset.com. And if they
Hmm.
do happen to have heart disease or some other conditions, then there are also courses on there for them as well. And everything is broken down into small modules. I mean, this is not scientific, this is not high level. This is, I'm putting my feet up on a Sunday afternoon, push the button. I learned this module, that was fun. I download this, I get it now. And you just go as far as you want on that day. And it's really all about bringing this down so patients get it. I mean, we as a profession have not done a good job teaching patients how to protect themselves. And now we're looking at these escalating healthcare costs. People are being priced out of health insurance. People need to learn to become the center of their own healthcare team. Nobody else is as vested in your life and your health as you. And so we need to
So
change the mindset so the patient is
yeah.
the healthcare team.
Well, I was, being having experience in the medical field and now doing this, I always tell people be your own advocate because
Yeah,
that's the only person
absolutely.
that's the only person that's really going to champion you. But this brings up a really interesting point because in the late 90s to early 2000s, health and wellness and all this took a major shift. You know what that was? It was the invention of WebMD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's what happened. People would be like, oh, let me type this up. I got this feeling. And then it would say, boom, all this, but it had no context, right? So you could type in, why are blueberries bad for me? And I'll give you a million reasons why you should eat blueberries. And then you could type in, why are blueberries good for me? It'll give you a million reasons why it's good for you, right? But it had no context whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, I got this pain. Then you go to WebMD, possible diagnosis. Could be cancer. And people freaked out. Right? Right? So that
Or some
happened.
primary care. I mean, that's I saw a lot of that. Oh, when
I'm
I
sure you did.
have hypothyroidism.
I'm sure you did. That's why I'm bringing it up. So then now let's fast forward to this generation. Guess what I do most of the time? I dispel all this BS that comes on TikTok. People are getting so much medical advice from these influencers on TikTok. I saw
Mhm.
one guy who's saying he gave a million reasons why water is bad. Okay. Another person puts you on this crazy diet. Everybody's hawking a product. Nobody's listen, I get it. It's capitalistic, it's driving business forward, but what we've gotten into now is and I even hear these podcasts, which blows my mind, which I respect a lot of these podcast hosts, is that they bring in all these guests. And every single one of these guests is like, you need to be doing this every day. Okay. You need to be doing this every day. Okay. I'm like, by the time I get done with everything, 24 hours is gone. If I was really focusing on all this stuff, it's insane, right? There's no time to live my life, right? So I'm dealing with this stuff when we're trying to dispel that.
Mhm.
You on the front lines, as a professional, having the degrees, been doing this forever, treating people's lives, making a difference. How do you get across to people? Don't listen to this nonsense because it's 24 hours a day. They're getting barraged. Okay. Between the pharmaceutical commercials and them going on social media and all these guys showing, oh, if you do this, this, and this, you get 6 pack abs. Or if you do this, this, and this, you're going to cure this, right? How do you get past all the noise with your patients so that they get the right information? Obviously, your platform is a great resource, but how do you get through to them?
One thing is people like data, people like case studies, people like stories. So, for example, if you take a group of women with breast cancer and a group of men with prostate cancer, and everything else is the same, the therapies and all of those things, and they're category A,
Hmm.
and you take a similar category, a similar group, and put them in pot B or category
Hmm.
B, everything is the same. Now, those patients in category one, they continue doing what they're doing. Life goes on the way it's used to going. They're more likely to die early. You take
Mm.
the other people and they follow the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, they're likely to live longer. Another great example, heart disease is the main killer in America and many other countries.
Hmm.
Well, there are scientific studies, a study that showed people who follow lifestyle medicine pillars can reverse it to an extent. I don't mean completely clean out the arteries, but if you take two groups of people, they have the cardiac catheterization where they shoot the dye in the heart, and they can see the blood vessel blockages, and they're similar. These two groups, one group continues with the standard of care, the statins, all these other medicines, and so forth. And the other group adopts a whole food, plant-based diet, the exercise, stress relief, and so forth, the pillars of lifestyle medicine. And they go back to these same people a few years later. The
Hmm.
people following the standard of care with all the medications are going to have more blockage.
Mm.
Those who follow lifestyle medicine pillars will have less blockage. And so that is real and concrete. So if you have the choice of going path A or path B, then it's very clear. And I'm not saying stop your medication. Everything you do needs to be done working with your doctor. But that is powerful, that making lifestyle changes can actually potentially reverse part of your heart disease versus not doing that, doing everything right, and you
Yeah.
still have more disease. It is less than somebody who did none of those things. But which would you choose? So when people understand this is not fluff, there are scientific studies that prove that this can happen. Which outcome do you want? So that helps.
So this is one of the things I hear all the time, which is, oh, well, it's going to take too much time. It's going to, I don't have time to eat healthy all the time. And I've heard every excuse in the book as much as you have, I'm sure.
Yes.
Um, what's interesting is, how I reframe it for a lot of people is I say to them, I said, do you like going to the doctor? Like, no. How many appointments do you miss? A lot. Okay. And I remember a time where I don't, I am anti-pill to the point where taking a pill for me is just a non-negotiable. We're just not doing this. Okay. Because everything can be treated and cured holistically unless you've got some major disease or whatever it may be.
I
But that being
understand.
said, I always ask, I'm like, do you like going to the doctor? Do you like making the appointments? Do you like the prescription costs? Do you like doing all these things? And they'll say, no, 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 no. Okay. Well, how about we take a different route? Okay. There may be a little bit of pain going forward, meaning a little bit of discipline involved, but that's with anything in life. Anything worth doing is always going to be a little bit more difficult, right? So I kind of reframe it that way. I like the way you do it as well.
Mhm.
And it's interesting the time we live in right now because we think about this, and that is cost of prescriptions and healthcare is extremely high. Cost of food is extremely high, right? What do you need every day to survive? We need food.
Food.
Yeah, right? The answer is
Yes.
clear. Invest in
Mhm.
the food, invest in yourself, invest in all these other things, and then you can lower these things down here. So you don't even have to take them, hopefully, at a certain point in your life. So, when people make that calculus,
Mhm.
it becomes very obvious what the choice really needs to be, right?
Agreed.
So talk to me about how you see the future of medicine moving forward? What are you seeing down the road? Because we see things as we travel around the country and around the world. We see concierge medicine popping up more. We're also seeing this season that we're hoping to showcase what AI is doing to healthcare. We're going to be talking about that a little bit, but from somebody on the front line, somebody who's doing this, who's lived this, what are you seeing as the future of healthcare, and where do you see it going in helping patients, get ahead of this stuff?
I see different paths. I have friends who are concierge physicians, and most of them, they don't deal with holistic things. It's just they have a very small patient panel. They have to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket per year. And so, for people who cannot afford to pay thousands of dollars on top of your major medical insurance, concierge medicine may not be for you. For those who are serious about turning things around, there are options. Just imagine you see a tsunami coming and you wait and you wait and you wait, and then it's right up on you. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
We have a medical tsunami. We are looking at a shortfall of, I think, 86,000 physicians in 10
Yeah.
years, according to one source. And we're looking at even fewer nurses. Just imagine in 10 years, let's say based on the size of your state, let's say that there are 2,000, you're 2,000 doctors short. How long is it going to take you to get in to see a doctor? How long is the doctor going to have with you? One thing that I'm very passionate about and how I kind of got started in all of this is like 20 years ago, actually 30 years ago. I was kind of tired of hearing patients just go on and on and on. I was upset that the medical community did not tell them what we want to hear. And so they're given the history. Well, Uncle George came to town and I remember this. No, we can teach people how to go from A to B to C. I timed a lady once. I asked her a yes or no question. It took her 10 minutes to answer the question. And so this was like the late 1990s. And so I sat and I wrote a book called Your Family Medical Record, an Interactive Guide to Getting the Best Care. Now, John Wiley and Son published that. Back then, people weren't into patient empowerment. Well, my doctor would tell me what to do.
Yep.
Fast forward decades, I did a talk about the same concepts. How do you prepare for your doctor's visit so you can give an elevator speech and help expedite your own diagnoses, lower your medical care, be safer in the hospital, all of these things. So I did a talk about this a few years ago, completely different reception. So I thought maybe they're ready. So I republished the book, added more information. It's called Patient Empowerment 101, more than a book, it's an adventure. And it is an easy, fun read that explains to you when you get sick, that is when your visits should start in your head. It goes through what to think about when you first have a problem, not when you're sitting on the doctor's examining table, cold, your flimsy gown is falling off, your doctor is 45 minutes late, and you have an appointment in an hour and a half. That's not the time to pull all this together. When you get sick, you go through this checklist. And so when your doctor walks in the room, you can tell him very quickly. So by the time you finish your last sentence, the doctor has already ruled out most possibilities, which means she can streamline the tests and procedures needed. We're likely to get to the diagnosis quicker, save you money, decrease the chance you have to come back to the office.
Yeah.
It's a complete win-win. And so there are a lot of people, they are understanding now, I need to be the center of my healthcare team. And so for those people who want to advocate for themselves and learn all of these things, for those people who want to prevent, treat, and reverse diseases before they occur, or even potentially come off of the medications, I think the future is very bright because there are resources for them. Those people are going to have brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, and so forth. We don't have enough doctors and nurses. This needs to be a concerted effort of everybody to learn specific science-backed information and share it. And if we do that, we can not only help ourselves, but help other people as well.
So I remember the time where you go into the doctor's office and the doctor go, okay, give me your top three. Okay, what's going on? Your top three. Right? And you rattle off. It's otherwise patients will go, oh, and then about 2 years ago, this happened to me and I've been feeling
Bingo.
so we like to keep the show light and humorous as much as possible. Share with us, obviously you can't name names, the most, I would say, interesting or funny story of a patient walking in and telling you something where you're like, this is a head scratcher. I've never heard this.
Well, people have come in after the internet with these files like this big, things that they printed off. They've
Yeah.
diagnosed themselves.
Yeah.
To be able to read all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the interesting things. The doctors will smile, or they may come in with their medical records from 20 years, this thick. And
Mm.
doctors are not known for having good handwriting. And so you're not going to actually spend 6 hours going through those medical
Yeah.
records. But when people
Mm.
can put all of these things down very concisely, this is a list of my medications, my surgeries, my drug allergies, my medication, my pharmacies, and all of those things on one sheet of paper, and keep it in the wallet. You pull it out, you expedite your diagnoses. Another thing that's funny, that little white pill, I cannot
Yep.
tell you how many people came in. What medication do you take? Oh, I take a little white pill. And the doctors are like, okay. The 700th time this month, patients
Yeah.
need to understand we don't know what that means. There are many
Exactly.
little white pills. And so
Yeah.
those are some of the things that really stand out.
So did you always know you wanted to be a doctor or physician? Was that a life calling? Because for me, what ended up happening was I took the MCAT, took me 3 times to get through it. I'm not a test taker, got through it, then got the admissions. And then about a week before I was supposed to leave, I realized I don't want to do this. So I left my spot because I knew I wanted to do a variety of things, not get locked in to just one thing. So did you always know this is kind of what you wanted to do, or just kind of grew a love for it?
My father was a physician, and my older brothers are physicians. And everybody wanted me to go to medical school. But when I was in my late teens, early 20s, it's like, I'm not going to spend that much time in school.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the bottom line is I love helping people. I mean,
Yeah.
I love that feeling of making a difference in people's lives. And I love science. I loved math and science in college, and some of the other things I just would fall asleep. That was not relevant to me. It didn't really mean anything. So
Yeah.
loving the sciences, loving helping people, ultimately I said, okay, Mom, you're right. I'm going to go to medical school. So it came about when I was in my mid 20s.
So if you weren't a doctor, what profession would you be instead? What would you do?
My plan B was marketing.
Ah, okay, there you go.
I love writing books. I love creativity. I love all of that. So after science, marketing was my second passion, and then law.
And then okay. Well, I know you're much smarter than I am. I can already see that.
Well,
That's always
just have different paths.
But this is the other part I always like to ask our guests, which is I'm in the entertainment field. I've played many doctors on TV, on commercials, and because I've got the doctor look. That being
Got that
said,
look.
yeah, I got that look. I played a good doctor. I played a very bad doctor too. I played both. So that being said, what drama do you see on TV that's the most accurate depiction of what you guys do on a daily basis?
I used to really like ER.
Yes.
Um, I haven't seen it recently, but that was a show that I could really get into because it was very realistic. There are times I would see shows on TV. It would be something like, okay, she's having a heart attack. Give her a shot at epinephrine. I'm like, she's going to die if you do that. So there are
Mhm.
certain things. It's like, check your medical facts. It was just like a joke. But I did used to really enjoy ER.
Okay. The reason why I bring it up is funny because I'll get on sets, and there was a movie I did a while back, and I had to play a surgeon. So I was in the surgical medical field with all these surgeons all the time.
Uh-huh.
And I remember they put us in, we rented out a surgery office and they put us in this surgical area. And I saw everybody had their hands below their waist, touching their pants. I was like, we can't be doing this. We just broke surgical field. If we want to make this accurate, we
Oh
can't be
yeah.
doing this, right? So I get brought on a lot of times to bring a little bit of accuracy, which is great. And then I'll read the script and I'll be like, nobody would ever say this. What is this? I mean, so it's pretty funny what
Yeah.
we see on screen at times. And a lot of times the initial script I get to where it
Uh-huh.
ends up finally changes for the better. And it's like, okay, this sounds normal. This sounds human. They're not robots. Okay. So, which is pretty funny. But
Yeah.
the entertainment world and, has this depiction of doctors and such. And so here's what I would love for you to kind of give us your thoughts on. And that is the
Mhm.
show is called Recipe for Wellness for a reason. And we always ask our guests, what is Coach Dr. Ann's recipe for wellness if you had to kind of mark it down to three things that people could do right now?
Number one would be follow the six pillars of lifestyle medicine.
Okay.
Number two would be to become empowered to be the center of your healthcare team.
Hmm.
And number three would be to take on the onus, realize that we're not in a good state in America. And our healthcare system is in flux. And
Hmm.
realistically, a lot of people are not going to make it out of this maze. We all have some responsibility. There's something we can all do, even if it's a matter of encouraging your coworker, get the mammogram. I'll take you. All of us can play a role. I mean, if we look at all of these foot soldiers, every single one of us could be a foot soldier to help lift up somebody else.
See, I don't think anybody has ever mentioned that, and that's a really great point. I didn't even think about that, honestly. Which is helping each other out during times of need, or just being accountability partner, right? So I was told, it's funny. I'll give you a quick story here, and that
Mhm.
is when I did personal training full time, and I'd see couples a lot, who one would want to work out, one would want to do it, or both would want to work out. But here's the first question I would ask them, which people found really funny, but there was a reason behind it. I would ask them, I said, for the person who's working out, who really wants to get in shape, I said, how strong is your relationship? And they said, why are you asking me that? I said, I'll tell you why. I've been doing this long enough to realize if you go down this journey of health and wellness and your partner is not going to do it with you, here's what's going to happen. Number one, it's going to create some animosity. It just is. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, I've seen it a million times. Subconsciously, what they're hearing is when they're not doing the physical work or the nutrition, you may never say a word to them, but they're looking at you going, you're judging me for not doing what you're doing, right? So I would always ask them that question, be like, how strong is your relationship? I remember playing camp counselor to married couples, going, it's okay for him to work out, and then the husband or the wife would be like negotiating with them, saying, but like this, and I was like, this is insane. This is insanity, okay? And I bring this story up because it relates to what we're talking here, which is what you just said, which is a coworker, a family friend, a family member. If somebody's going through something and you're holding them accountable, guess what? It's reciprocity. It comes back to you. When you're going
Yes.
through something, as we get older, it always comes back to us, right? And so the term is pay it forward, right? Which is
Yes.
pay kindness forward and you receive it back without expectation, right? So I think that's a great point, and I really think that's something that nobody's ever mentioned on the podcast. So I thank you for doing that. So
Right on.
now, no, it's great. So this is the shameless plug hour for you, which is I want people to be able to find you, connect with you, because there's so much great information about what you just shared. So I know people want to follow up. So tell us about number one. I think you mentioned a couple times, but it doesn't hurt to mention it again. Where people can find you on the web, your books, any speaking engagements, and all the cool things you got coming up for you.
Okay, great. So my website is ptrreset.com. P prevent, treat, T treat, or reverse. ptrreset.com. On that site, you can take courses, paid courses. You can also sign up for a free PTR Reset sneak peek that takes you through the pillars of lifestyle medicine that I've been talking about. Also, on that site, you could sign up for free mini masterclasses because I'm going to be doing 30-minute masterclasses that can impact the next 30 years of your life. Different topics, all free, different days, times, and so forth to fit basically any schedule. My book is Patient Empowerment 101.com. Sorry, that's my website, patientempowerment101.com. And the book is Patient Empowerment 101, More Than a Book, it's an adventure. That is available on Amazon. And so if you go to my main site, ptrreset.com, and you want to set up a time to talk to me, you can click a button, go on Calendly and set up a time, to have like a session to see if you may be interested in health coaching or what else you may be able to glean that could help you. So no obligation, no cost. I am on LinkedIn. My name is Hester. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me a request, and I'd be happy to accept.
Awesome. So ptrreset.com, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So what we're going to do for our audience who's going to be listening or watching the podcast and listening is if you're watching the podcast, we're going to put her link in the video podcast for everybody to take a look at. She's going to be on our website as well at myrecipeforwellness.com as one of our podcast guests. So you can connect with her through our website. There's just, you and I could probably talk another 3 hours and not get through everything. Just
longer than that.
Yeah, probably longer than that. I think what I take away from this discussion is that, people have a lot of choices they make in their daily life, right? And I think choosing your health is the first choice we should be making for ourselves on a daily basis, right? Because without that, we really, truly have nothing.
Absolutely.
And what I always see, and I'm sure you've seen it, is that people only address it when it goes south on them. It becomes a little bit too late. So It's a daily affirmation. I choose to drink enough water today. I choose to sleep on time today. I choose to not eat fried foods every day, right? Enjoy your life, live your life. We're all about that. But just know that for me, moderation is the key in life. You can try everything, but there's a level at which you say, okay, enough is enough, right? So thank you for your time, Coach Dr. Ann, and we're gonna be connected with you now moving forward and sharing some of the wonderful information that you have provided. And folks watching and listening to the podcast, this podcast will air early next week. And so that way you can grab some great information, go to her website, check it out. We have checked it out. We love it. And we love having her as part of the Recipe for Wellness family now. So thank you for your time. And for our podcast audience, thank you for tuning into our show. And just remember, season 3 is in pre-production right now. We're going to air season 3 on PBS in 2027. But season 1, season 2, we're going to hit streaming very soon, which is awesome. So we're so excited about that. And we're airing season 1 on PBS as we speak. So can't wait to share some more great news we just found out. We'll be sharing that. And then stay tuned. But thank you for our audience. And thank you, Coach Dr. Ann, one more time.
Thank you as well.